Quite honest with you, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with Sue Bird.
They're actually in the top 2 most of the season. But yeah, I think other parts of her game don't get valued enough to then catapult her to the top.
Sue Bird just lit a match and threw it into a pool of gasoline. The WNBA legend, who spent 22 years as the face of professionalism and grace, suddenly decided to take aim at the one player everyone's been talking about, Caitlin Clark. And when she opened her mouth, the entire basketball world stopped what they were doing to watch the explosion. Picture this: playoff tickets selling for $10. Not $50, not $30. $10 to watch professional basketball in the postseason. That's less than what you'd pay for popcorn at the movies. Fans were posting screenshots of their receipts, laughing about how parking cost more than their seats. One guy bought 4 tickets for what he'd normally drop on a single beer at an NBA game. This wasn't normal, and Sue Bird knew it. The timing of Bird's comments couldn't have been worse. Just weeks after Caitlin Clark got eliminated from the playoffs, WNBA viewership fell off a cliff. The same arenas that had been electric during Clark's games suddenly looked like library reading rooms. Entire sections sat empty, covered in shadows. The energy that had made women's basketball must-watch TV all season? Gone. Vanished. Like it never existed. Bird didn't dance around it. She pointed straight at what everyone was thinking, but nobody wanted to say out loud: that maybe the league's sudden struggles had everything to do with one rookie not being on the court anymore. For someone who'd always been diplomatic, always chosen her words carefully, this felt like watching your favorite teacher lose it in class. It was shocking, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. Stephen A. Smith lost his mind when he heard what Bird said, and I mean completely lost it. The man who's made a career out of hot takes and dramatic reactions somehow found another gear. He wasn't just defending Caitlin Clark, he was defending the entire concept of star power in sports. His voice cracked with frustration as he demanded answers. Why was it wrong to admit that Clark brought eyeballs to the WNBA? The NBA survived on Magic and Bird, thrived on Jordan, exploded globally because of Kobe and LeBron. Every major sports league in history has ridden the coattails of its biggest stars. Smith's rant spread like wildfire. Within hours, clips were everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. People who didn't even follow basketball were suddenly sharing his defense of Clark. One viral clip got millions of views with the caption, "Stephen A. speaking for all of us right now." The comment sections were brutal, with fans calling out what they saw as jealousy from the old guard. Shannon Sharpe jumped in with even less filter than Stephen A., if that's possible. His take was so blunt it made people squirm in their seats. Without Caitlin Clark, he argued, the WNBA would be fighting for scraps of attention. He wasn't trying to be mean. He was stating what the numbers already showed. Clark didn't just bring in casual fans. She brought in people who couldn't name another player in the league. And the moment she was gone, so were they. The controversy ripped open wounds that had been festering beneath the surface of women's basketball. On one side, you had the pioneers, Bird, Cheryl Swoops, Diana Taurasi, players who'd built this league with their blood, sweat, and tears. They played in high school gyms, flew commercial, fought for every penny of salary and every second of coverage. To them, hearing that one rookie saved their sport felt like having their life's work erased. But the other side had receipts that couldn't be ignored. Television ratings with Clark weren't just good. They were destroying records that had stood since the league's inception. Games featuring Clark were pulling in over 1 million viewers regularly. Social media metrics exploded whenever she touched the ball. Jersey sales, merchandise, corporate sponsorships, everything pointed up when Clark was involved. And when she wasn't, those $10 tickets told the whole story. What stung even more for Clark's supporters was that Bird had been one of her biggest champions. Throughout the season, Bird praised Clark's impact, celebrated her achievements, seemed genuinely thrilled about what this young star meant for basketball's future. So this sudden shift felt like betrayal. Fans started digging up old clips of Bird supporting Clark, creating before and after compilations that made the legend look hypocritical. The speculation about Bird's motives ran wild. Was she feeling pressure from other veterans who felt disrespected? Did she genuinely believe the league needed to stand on its own merits? Or was there something deeper? A fear that everything her generation built would be reduced to a footnote in the Caitlin Clark story? Nobody knew for sure, but everyone had an opinion. Cheryl Swoops made everything messier by constantly changing her stance on Clark. Monday, she'd call her a generational talent. Tuesday, she'd question if the hype was warranted. Wednesday, she'd be back to praising her. This wishy-washy approach only reinforced what many fans already believed, that the legends couldn't handle being overshadowed. Someone compiled all of Swoops's contradictory statements into a viral thread titled, "Make Up Your Mind, Cheryl." It got hundreds of thousands of likes. Through all this chaos, Caitlin Clark did something remarkable. Absolutely nothing. No tweets defending herself, no Instagram stories throwing shade, no passive-aggressive comments in interviews. She just kept showing up, kept playing, kept letting her game speak louder than any words could. While everyone else was fighting about her impact, she was busy actually impacting the game. This silence became the loudest statement of all. Fans rallied around Clark even harder, painting her as the mature professional in a room full of people old enough to know better. Class act became the phrase attached to every post about her. One viral TikTok showed Clark highlights with the caption, "Letting the haters motivate her," and racked up millions of views. She became more than a player. She became a symbol of rising above the noise. The whole mess exposed an uncomfortable reality about professional sports that the WNBA had been desperately trying to avoid. Every successful sports league in history has been carried by its superstars. The NBA wasn't built on balanced competition and team-first basketball. It was built on Magic's smile, Jordan's competitiveness, LeBron's dominance. The NFL didn't become America's sport through parity. It became massive because of personalities that transcended the game. The WNBA wanted to be different. It wanted to prove that women's sports could succeed purely on athletic merit, on the quality of competition rather than individual star power. Noble idea, sure. But Caitlin Clark's impact exposed this as fantasy. Fans don't shell out money to watch systems and ball movement. They pay to see special players do things nobody else can do. Social media turned into an absolute war zone. Every platform became a battlefield where nuance went to die. Birds defenders argued she was protecting the integrity of a league that existed long before Clark showed up. They talked about disrespect, about how suggesting one rookie saved the sport erased decades of progress. Fair points, honestly. But Clark's army had a devastating counter. If the league was so strong on its own, why were playoff tickets being practically given away? The timing of this drama couldn't have been worse for WNBA leadership. Right in the middle of negotiating new media deals, trying to expand into new markets, attempting to secure bigger corporate partnerships, and suddenly their biggest names are tearing each other apart in public. Executives who'd been excited about the Clark effect were now watching a PR nightmare unfold in real time. ESPN found itself in an impossible position. Their own personalities were going at each other's throats over their coverage. Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe were essentially calling out colleagues who downplayed Clark's importance. The network that held WNBA broadcast rights was watching its talent debate whether the league could survive without one player. You can imagine the panicked meetings happening behind closed doors. But here's what really hurt. This whole fight revealed the league's deep insecurity. Instead of celebrating that they'd finally found their Michael Jordan, too many influential voices seemed threatened by it. Instead of riding the massive wave Clark created, they seemed determined to prove they didn't need it. Every empty seat, every discounted ticket, every ratings drop screamed otherwise. The generational divide became impossible to ignore. Older players who'd sacrificed everything to build the WNBA felt like their contributions were being minimized. Younger fans who'd discovered the league through Clark felt like the veterans were bitter gatekeepers. Both sides had valid points, but neither seemed interested in finding middle ground. It was all or nothing. Us versus them. Old school against new blood. Lost in all the fighting was a simple truth. There was room for everyone to win here. The legends deserved credit for building the foundation. Clark deserved recognition for taking it to unprecedented heights. Both things could be true simultaneously. Instead, we got a messy public feud that made everyone involved look petty and small-minded. The saddest part? This controversy overshadowed what should have been a celebration. Women's basketball was having its moment. Millions of new fans were tuning in. Young girls were picking up basketballs inspired by what they saw on TV. Corporate money was flowing in. The sport was growing faster than ever. And instead of unity, we got division. Instead of joy, we got drama. As the dust settles, the WNBA faces a critical decision. Embrace the reality that superstars drive sports leagues and fully support the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, or continue fighting against the very thing that brought unprecedented attention to the game. From the outside, the choice seems obvious. But pride, politics, and bruised egos have a way of clouding judgment. The only person who emerged from this disaster looking good was the one who never said a word. Caitlin Clark just kept playing, kept performing, kept making people care about women's basketball. While everyone else argued about her impact, She was busy actually creating it. That's the difference between talking about greatness and actually being great. The WNBA needs to figure out what it wants to be. A league that celebrates its stars and rides their popularity to new heights? Or one that's so concerned with collective credit that it shoots itself in the foot? Because right now, with $10 playoff tickets and plummeting ratings, the answer seems pretty clear. The question is whether they're brave enough to admit it. Look, at the end of the day, this whole controversy proved one thing. People care about women's basketball now more than ever. They care enough to argue, to take sides, to get genuinely emotional about its future. That's progress, even if it came wrapped in drama. The league just needs to decide if it wants to harness that passion or fight against it. What do you think about this whole situation? Is Sue Bird right that the WNBA shouldn't depend on one player? Or are Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe correct that star power drives every successful sports league? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely want to hear where you stand on this. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of basketball's wildest controversies, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. The WNBA's next chapter is being written right now, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.